Let me be blunt with you. If a woman tells you her problems, it means she wants something from you. But it's not what you think. It's not validation. It's not advice. It's not even empathy. And most men completely misread what's actually being asked for. Here's what happens. The second she opens up about her drama, her stress, her problems, you think you're being brought closer. You think this is intimacy. But there's a hidden evaluation happening in that moment that determines whether you're the man she pursues or the guy she keeps in the friend zone. And here's the brutal part. Most men fail this evaluation without even knowing they were being tested. They think they're doing the right thing. They think being supportive, being helpful, being understanding is what she wants. But their response is actually killing attraction in real time. This video breaks down the real evaluation she's running when she shares her problems, the 3 responses that destroy your chances instantly, and the framework that positions you as the man she respects instead of the emotional outlet she uses. By the end, you'll know exactly what's being tested and how to pass it. Now, before you think this is about being cold or manipulative, it's not. This isn't about playing games or withholding empathy. That's not what this video is about. This is about understanding female psychology at a level most men never reach. Because here's what nobody tells you. Women don't share their problems the way men do. When a man shares a problem, he's usually looking for solutions. But when a woman shares her problems with you specifically, there's a completely different dynamic at play. And until you understand what that dynamic actually is, you'll keep responding in ways that feel right but push her further away. So let's break down exactly what's happening beneath the surface. Here's the problem most men face. She starts telling you about her issues. Maybe it's work stress, family drama, friend betrayal, whatever. And in that moment, you're hit with this pressure to respond perfectly because you sense that this moment matters. You can feel that how you handle this will determine something important about where this relationship goes. But here's what creates the paralysis. You're caught between 2 instincts. One part of you says, be supportive, show you care, help her through this. The other part warns, don't be too available, don't become her therapist, maintain your value. And while you're trying to figure out which instinct is right, you're already losing ground. So what do most men do? They default to what society taught them. Be caring, be understanding, be supportive. They lean into the first instinct. They think showing they care will bring her closer. They over-engage. They ask follow-up questions. They try to help her feel better. They become emotionally invested in solving her problem. And here's what they don't realize. Every message they send, every question they ask, every attempt to fix her situation is actually repositioning them in her mind. Not as a romantic prospect, but as emotional support, as the safe guy, as the friend she can vent to. Because what she's actually measuring in that moment isn't your empathy, it's your emotional frame. And most men fail the test by proving they don't have one. So here's exactly what we're going to cover. In the next 5 sections, I'm going to show you the complete framework for handling this situation. First, what it really means when she tells you her problems, the actual evaluation she's running. Second, the 3 fatal responses that destroy your chances instantly. Third, the stoic response framework that builds attraction while staying emotionally present. Fourth, how to tell if she's genuinely interested in you or just using you for emotional labor. And fifth, the boundary that separates men she respects from men she discards. By the end of this video, you'll never misread this situation again. You'll know exactly what's being tested, what to say, what not to say, and when to walk away. Let's get into it. Let's start with what's actually happening when she chooses to tell you her problems, because the choice itself is significant. She's not sharing this with everyone. She selected you specifically. But why you? And what does that selection mean? Here's what you need to understand. When a woman shares her problems with a man, she's placing him in one of 3 categories. Category 1, the completely neutered friend. Think gay best friend energy. Safe, no sexual tension, 0 romantic possibility. She can be completely open because there's no stakes. Category 2, potential romantic interest she's actively evaluating. This is where you want to be. Category 3, orbiter she's keeping around for validation and emotional support while she pursues other men. This is the friend zone with extra steps. The critical thing is this. You're not locked into these categories. Men in Category 2 can easily fall to Category 3 based on how they respond. That's what she's testing for. She's not just venting to vent. She's watching how you handle her emotional intensity. She's measuring whether you can be emotionally available without becoming emotionally needy, whether you can hold space for her without trying to fix her, save her, or make her problems your problems. Because here's what most men don't understand about female psychology. Women don't share problems looking for solutions. They're looking for co-regulation. They want to know you can handle their emotional state without losing yours, that you can be present with their intensity without being consumed by it. That's masculine presence. That's what creates attraction. But the mistake most men make is thinking emotional availability means emotional enmeshment. They think being there for her means absorbing her emotions, matching her energy, getting equally upset about her situation. They think empathy means agreement. They think support means fixing. And every time they do this, they're proving they can't hold their own emotional center when tested. So the real meaning when she tells you her problems, she's checking whether you're category 2 material, a man with enough emotional strength to handle her without losing himself, or category 3 material, someone she can use for emotional labor while pursuing men with actual frame. Now that you understand what's being evaluated, let's talk about the 3 responses that automatically fail you. These are the patterns that drop you from category 2 to category 3 without you even realizing it's happening. Fatal response number 1, the eager therapist. This is when you over-engage. She mentions work stress, and you're immediately asking 5 follow-up questions. What did he say? How did that make you feel? Have you tried talking to HR? You're treating the conversation like a therapy session where your job is to help her process. You think you're being supportive. You think you're showing you care. But here's what she's actually seeing: a man who needs to be needed, a man whose value comes from being her emotional processor. You've made yourself her feelings translator instead of a man she's attracted to. And the more questions you ask, the more you're cementing your role as emotional support staff, not romantic prospect. Fatal response number 2, the solution machine. This is the guy who immediately jumps into fix-it mode. She barely finishes explaining her problem and you're already strategizing. Here's what you should do. Have you considered this? If I were you, You think you're being helpful. You think you're demonstrating competence. But what you're actually communicating is that you're uncomfortable with her emotions and need them to stop. You're trying to end her emotional experience as quickly as possible so you can feel useful. She reads this as, he can't handle me at my messiest. He needs me to be fixed, not real. That's not attractive. That's dismissive. Fatal response number 3, the emotional sponge. This is when you completely lose your own center and absorb her emotional state. She's upset, so you're upset. She's stressed, so you're stressed. Oh my God, that's terrible. I can't believe she did that to you. You must be so hurt. You're matching her emotional intensity, hoping she'll feel understood. But what you've actually done is proven you have no frame of your own. You're emotionally reactive. You need her to be okay so you can be okay. That's not strength. That's dependency. And women don't respect dependency. So if those responses fail, what actually works? Here's the framework that passes the test while staying emotionally present. Present, not absorbed. You can hold space for her emotions without becoming them. You're the rock she crashes against, not the water that moves with her. Component 1, acknowledgement without agreement. When she's venting, you don't need to validate that she's right. You need to validate that she's feeling something. There's a massive difference. I hear you versus you're absolutely right. One acknowledges her experience, the other co-signs her perspective and makes it yours. Stay in acknowledgement mode. That shows you can handle her intensity without needing to agree with her narrative. Component 2, brevity over engagement. Use the 70-30 rule. She talks 70%, you respond 30%. Your attention should be valuable, not freely available. If you're matching her message length, if you're asking as many questions as she's answering, you're over-engaging. Short, grounded responses maintain your value. That sounds frustrating. Beats a paragraph. What are you thinking you'll do? Beats a dissertation on what she should do. Less is more when you're holding frame. Component 3, strategic questions over advice. Never tell her what to do unless she explicitly asks. And even then, frame it as options. What do you think you'll do? Positions her as capable. Here's what you should do. Positions you as the problem solver she needs. One builds respect, the other builds dependency. Ask questions that help her think, Don't give answers that make her stop thinking. Component 4, the redirect. After she's vented for 10 to 15 minutes, you can shift gears. Sounds like you needed to get that out. Want to shift gears? This shows you were present, but you won't drown in her problems. You can enter her emotional space and exit it without being controlled by it. That's emotional regulation. That's attractive. Component 5, the boundary. If the venting becomes a pattern, you set it. I want to be here for you, but I can't solve this for you. Simple, direct, shows care with self-respect. That's the balance that builds attraction. This framework works, but here's the reality check you need. You have to know if she's actually interested in you or just using you for emotional support. Because there's no point applying this framework to a woman who's already placed you in category 3 permanently. So here are the signs that tell you which situation you're in. Sign 1, the reciprocity test. Does she ask about your life within 24 to 48 hours after you've listened to her? Interested women reciprocate emotional vulnerability. If she only contacts you when she has problems, if you're just the person she calls when she needs to vent, that's not interest, that's utility. If she never asks how you're doing, never checks in on your stress, never shows curiosity about your world, you're emotional labor, not romantic prospect. Sign 2, the appreciation pattern. Does she thank you? Does she acknowledge you made her feel better? Or does she expect your emotional support as default? Interested women show gratitude. Women using you act entitled to your attention. Notice the pattern. If she treats your time like it's owed to her, like listening is just what you do, she's not attracted. She's taking. Sign 3, the escalation window. After emotional intimacy, does she create opportunities to connect in person? Does the vulnerability translate to spending time together, to physical presence, to escalation? Or does she open up, get comfort, then disappear until the next crisis? Real interest converts emotional connection to physical proximity. If you're having deep conversations, but she's always too busy to actually see you, you're her therapist, not her interest. Sign 4, the multi-guy test. Is she having these exact same conversations with 3 other guys? You won't always know this, but if you find out you're one of several men she vents to regularly, that's your answer. You're part of an emotional support rotation, not someone special. Sign 5, the physical follow-through. Is there sexual tension? Does emotional intimacy lead to touch, to chemistry, to actual romantic progression? Or is everything comfortable and platonic? If there's no heat, if it feels like friendship with deep talks, it is. Genuine interest includes physical desire. Without it, you're in the friend zone regardless of how much she shares. If you've realized she's using you, or if you want to make sure you never become that guy, here's the boundary that separates respected men from discarded men. And this is going to be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. The boundary is this. Your emotional availability must be proportional to her romantic investment. If she's not pursuing you romantically, she doesn't get unlimited access to your emotional support. Period. That's not being cold. That's having standards. Because here's what most men don't realize. They're giving boyfriend-level emotional support to women who won't even give them girlfriend-level interest. So how do you set this boundary? You have 3 options depending on how direct you want to be. Option 1 is the direct conversation. I care about you, but I've realized I'm investing more emotional energy than this connection supports. I need to scale back. Clear, honest, respectful, but firm. This forces clarity. She either acknowledges romantic interest or accepts the boundary. Option 2 is the softer version. I want to be there for you, but I can't be your emotional outlet if there's nothing romantic between us. This leaves room for her to step up if interest exists, while protecting you if it doesn't. Option 3 is through action, not words. You stop being available for 2 a.m. vent sessions. You stop responding immediately. You let conversations end naturally instead of keeping them going. Your availability becomes scarce. She'll either step up with real interest or fade out, and either way, you get your answer. Here's what usually happens when you set this boundary. Option A, she realizes she's losing you and genuine romantic interest surfaces if it was there. Option B, she respects the boundary but the friendship cools, confirms you were friend zone. Option C, she tries to guilt you or manipulate you into staying available, reveals she was using you, you dodged a bullet. The men who are terrified to set this boundary, they're operating from scarcity. They'd rather have her as a friend than not at all. But abundant men with options don't give emotional support for free to women who aren't choosing them, and women respect men who respect themselves enough to have boundaries. The ones who don't weren't worth your time anyway. Here's the uncomfortable truth that will change how you see this entire dynamic, and you need to hear it even if it challenges everything you've been taught. When a woman tells you her problems, she's not looking for your help. She never was. She's checking if you can handle her at her worst without making it about you, without needing her to be fixed so you can feel capable, without absorbing her emotions so completely that you lose yourself. What she needs is a man who stays grounded while she's in chaos. That's masculine presence. And until you understand that her test isn't, will he help me solve this, but will he stay solid when I'm not, you'll keep ending up as the emotional support guy instead of the man she chooses. This isn't about being emotionally unavailable. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about understanding that your value isn't in fixing her problems. Your value is in being the one man who doesn't need her problems to be different to stay centered. Most men become reactive the second she's upset. They need to make her feel better so they can feel better. That's not strength. That's codependency masquerading as care. Ask yourself, can you really handle her intensity without losing yourself in it? Can you be present without becoming her emotional project? That shift alone, from reactive to grounded, will change every interaction you have with women. Because women don't choose men who need them to be okay. They choose men who are okay regardless. Now I want to hear from you. Have you been in this exact situation? A woman started opening up to you about her problems and you weren't sure how to handle it? Did you become the therapist, the fixer, the emotional sponge? And what happened? Did it build attraction or land you in the friend zone? Or maybe you've successfully navigated this. What did you do differently? What worked? Drop your experience in the comments below. I read every single comment and I'm genuinely interested in hearing how this plays out in your real situations, not just to collect data, but because I want to help you decode what's actually happening in your specific scenario. This isn't me talking at you from a script. This is a conversation, and your experience adds value to everyone watching this. Because here's what this channel is really about. Most men are walking around confused about female psychology, getting mixed signals, ending up friend-zoned, and wondering what they did wrong. This channel exists to decode exactly what women are thinking, what their behavior really means, and what you should actually do about it. No manipulation tactics, no toxic advice, just honest psychology and practical strategy that actually works. If that's valuable to you, subscribe so you never miss a breakdown. And if you want to go deeper on reading female interest signals, the next video breaks down the exact signs she's attracted versus just being friendly. That distinction alone will save you months of wasted time and emotional energy. Until next time, stay grounded, stay strategic, and don't ever sacrifice your self-respect for someone else's validation.